don't be pointing fingers at each other like, well, you're doing this or you're doing that. Hi guys, welcome back to another finance discussion with Skilled Finances. My name is Lindy and this is Tando. If you're joining us for the first time, we're so excited to have you here with us. Make sure you're following us on all our socials, that's at Skilled Finances. And for those of you that love a good podcast, we've also got you, that's also at Skilled Finances on various podcast platforms.
One of the biggest things that really impacts your finances are your money habits. And today what we're doing is talking about 5 money habits that you and your partner need to stop doing because they are draining your finances, affecting your budget, and preventing you from really experiencing that true financial experience or that financial relationship that you can have together. Right, let's jump straight into it. The first thing is stop ignoring your financial problems. This could be struggling with overspending, drowning in debt. This could be that you don't have a budget and you know you should really start one. This could include stretching yourselves too thin because every weekend or every month you're doing some sort of staycation or holiday of some sort that's really draining or really eating into your ability to save money. Whatever the financial problem is, you'll find that they're actually common in most households and most relationships. But the mistake that you're doing is then not addressing them, not talking about it, not coming together and saying, okay, you know what? Yes, I know we do this and this is happening, this is what's going on, but this is an issue that we need to really talk about. The problem is that if you don't address it, the problem will grow further and further. It will be something that grows and grows and grows, and it becomes hard for you to really contain because you've allowed something that maybe was small today to become a massive issue in your relationship. So really the thing that you need to stop doing is stop ignoring it. If you see issues, if you know that the problems, take time to talk about them. This doesn't necessarily mean point the finger, but it simply means, okay, we have an issue that we need to talk about, so let's address it.
Absolutely. I also think sometimes it's very easy to bury our heads in the sand and just well, I'm just not going to deal with it type of thing. But that's quite dangerous because it's like you just say you can't just ignore these things and think, oh, it's just going to go away. It won't. And the other thing is that it will start festering and it will start growing and it will start affecting your mental health. And the last thing you want is for it to affect your mental health and also affect your relationship and affect the two of you. So it's definitely good to not ignore these things, but to also talk about them. And I think a lot of the times the likelihood is if you do talk about them, you find that you'll find a solution to even address the issue and even start dealing with it. But like Tanda say, don't be pointing fingers at each other like, well, you're doing this or you're doing that. But then it's good to just be to be very mindful of what's happening and not ignore things, but also seek help. If you actually are realizing that actually this is a financial problem that we're having, but we can't deal with it, just the two of us, why not just seek help? Why not speak to someone who can help the both of you or someone who can help you look at it from a different perspective than just the two of you? Now, the second thing that you should stop doing is to stop communicating with your mind instead of your lips. Now, I do this quite a lot where I think I've said something, I'll probably think about it. And because I've thought about it, I then forget that I've not said something to Tando about it. I'm just like, oh yeah, because I thought about it for so long, I've told him about it. But no, you have to communicate. You have to tell these things to your partner. And the other thing is constantly maybe thinking that, okay, just because this financial thing is happening, my partner should know how I feel about it. He's a person too. He should know how I feel. But I've now learnt that actually, if you don't communicate things, don't assume that someone knows. That assumption is not revelation. Just because you think it doesn't mean your partner knows it. So it's always good to communicate things. And maybe you may find that actually, if you find yourself thinking, maybe I did tell him, maybe just say it again, even if you did say it. If you're really unsure whether you said it or not, just say it, even if it's the second time. The point is to make sure that you're talking about those things, not just thinking them in your head and thinking, well, I've said something. I'm pretty sure I've said something.
Yeah, the reason why there's an issue is because that with this money habit, you may make financial decisions or money decisions, I guess, by yourself
Mm.
and not realize that you haven't actually spoken about this with your partner. Or you may decide to do something with your finances that in your mind you think you've had the discussion with your partner,
Yeah.
but actually you haven't. And so your partner then feels all sorts of negative reactions to that scenario. And so this will then obviously then ruin the relationship building phase of building your financial relationship together, because fundamentally as a couple you're obviously aiming to work together as a
Yeah.
team, but teamwork needs communication for it to really thrive. The third thing that you need to stop doing is stop saying yes to everything
Mm.
that you each want. So it's common, right? You are two different people at the end of the
Yeah.
day, so it's understandable. You both will want different things. One will want Netflix, and the other one will want Amazon Prime instead. One may want to have curry for takeaway, and the other one might fancy a pizza instead. One may want a new car, and the other one might not necessarily want a new car, but they would like a bigger car.
Yeah.
X, Y, Z. And sometimes what ends up happening is that couples end up doing both. So instead of coming to a resolution or a compromise that works for both of them, they get both. But yes, okay, fine. We'll get both Netflix and Prime. Yes, okay, sure. We'll buy both a curry for you and a pizza for me. And heck, I might get a car for myself that I want, and you get the
Yeah.
car that you want. And then happy days, we both get what we want. Now, although this sounds okay, and sure, in some cases, it's actually like literally not a big deal. Fair enough. If you get a curry and I get a pizza, it is what it is. Or if you get both Prime and Netflix, that works because, the cost of those things is not exactly big for us to
Yeah.
panic about. So I want you to think about this as lifestyle creep on steroids. So lifestyle creep is when you increase your living expenses in line with your income. So the more money you get paid, the more you increase your expenses in your life because now you can afford more things. But
Mm.
if you think about it, when you're in a relationship and there's two of you, and let's just say there's a scenario where you're both earning money and you've managed to kind of share your living costs together in a way that makes sense, and you have a good amount of money left over after you've paid bills, and then you allow yourselves to get what you each want, then essentially what you're then doing is allowing room for your living expenses to grow in such a way that you're now paying for a lot more things than you probably would have, simply because you're simply trying to appease both of your needs individually without actually having a discussion about what about if we try this and we try this and work together on something. So when you're constantly saying yes to the things that you want, you're constantly spending more money, which then puts you in a position where actually you are building a lifestyle that costs a lot more money
Yeah.
to maintain, and you need both of your incomes to be able to survive. And that's the danger of this particular thing. So we're not saying don't get what you want, but we're simply saying be mindful of lifestyle creep, which usually comes from when you both just say yes to everything that you each want.
Absolutely. So the fourth thing is to stop being so serious with money. Like actually this one's a very easy thing to actually do because I think a lot of the times when people talk about money, it's one of those things that actually does turn into a very serious topic. Like it's sometimes hard for it to be quite casual because money is quite a serious thing, unless if you're talking about a holiday or buying a new car or things that actually bring you so much pleasure and happiness. But a lot of the times you're talking about bills or a budget and stuff like that. It's very easy to go down the route of it being very serious. But this can be quite unhealthy for your relationship because anytime you're thinking, okay, we need to be working together, we need to be budgeting together, we need to be talking about our finances together. If you're already approaching it from but this is going to be such a serious conversation, I think you're already going into it with a negative point of view on the conversation. But if you think about it in a different perspective, approach it from a different perspective where you're thinking, okay, today we're having a chat about our future and some of the money goals we want to do and how we want to budget in the next month. Try approaching it from a non-serious perspective. You'll find that the conversation will actually go even smoother because you're not taking it like overly serious. Yes, a budget is serious, but it doesn't have to be approached from an overly serious perspective where you feel like it's something that's actually just going to drain you rather than something to look forward to. Like having a plan for your future and planning out what you're doing in the next month and making sure that actually all bases are covered, all areas are covered, and I've even got a little left over. So it's good to not approach it from a very serious perspective. Have fun with your money. Money can also be fun. Like, talk about fun things to do with money as well. Plan holidays, plan different things, but also approach your budget from a non-serious perspective.
Oh, yeah. Nah, you said it. That's fine. Okay, so okay. The fifth thing that you should stop is to stop only thinking about today. Stop only thinking about the short term. Now, it's so easy to get caught in the hamster wheel of life, which is, you wake up, you go to work, and you pay the bills, and you kind of wait for the weekend. You do something fun on the weekend or something relaxing over the weekend, and then during the weekdays you work, and then before you know it, that's, a month has gone by, a year has gone by, and all you've been doing with your money is paying bills, having fun, going out to eat here and there, and repeat and rinse and repeat. Now, the thing is, that's life, but the truth of the matter is, time is something that you can't get back. Time is something that will just keep going and you can't get back, and before you know it, years would have gone by and you haven't put money aside for your future. So what we're saying here is just be mindful of the fact that you are living life today, but you will also continue to live life in the future. Just have a moment to think about what kind of life you want that to look like and what kind of things you'd like to attain and achieve in the future. And at the very basic level, this basically means start by saving some money. Put some money aside that you're going to save for your future. Now, this pot of money doesn't necessarily need something to be spent on. So, for example, you're not saving for a house, or you're not saving for a car, or to go on holiday. You're simply saving money so that you, in the future, you can have a bit of money that you can make different life choices. This can be an emergency fund. So some people say save up an emergency fund where you save up kind of like 3 months or 6 months of your living expenses. That way, if anything happens to your job, you're not in a panic mode because you've got money to be able to pay for your living expenses. That's an example of the kind of money I'm talking about, where you put money aside to save for your future. And kind of beyond this can include just little things like making sure that you're enrolled to your workplace pensions, and making sure that you're also putting money aside to some form of investments if you want to go down that route as well, which we'd encourage you to do so, because that's kind of really think about the long term. But I would say the basics, start by putting money aside consistently every single month. Even if you're thinking to yourselves, we don't have anything to save up for right now, we don't have any plans to do anything with our money, that doesn't mean that you won't have any future needs. So just put money aside today, even if it's like 5% or 10% of your annual income. Just put something aside for your future, because the future will come sooner than you think, and you will need that money as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with this, because it's very easy to just live in the moment. And I think, like, when I think of life here in the UK, particularly, I feel like a lot of the times we spend a lot of our time working. So it's very easy to just be stuck in that whole, I'm just going to work, and just think about the now and pay the bills for now. But like you said, it's good to have balance. It's good to think of the now and enjoy now, but also think of your future. And I always tell myself that whenever I'm saving or doing something for the future, I always tell myself that, you know what, the future me will thank me one day for what I'm doing today. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So those are the 5 money habits that we think you should stop doing in your relationship, because once you stop doing these things, it will improve and enhance your financial relationship together, and also improve your finances overall, because you're no longer doing things that are costing you or causing you to kind of spend more money, but you're starting to change your habits in a way that actually benefits you, both financially and in your financial relationship together as well. So what do you think? What are you going to stop? What have you thought about today's conversation? Let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you listen to this on the podcast, we would love to have a review from you on Apple Podcasts to let us know that you're getting value from our conversations on this platform. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, we'll see you soon.